Well, welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Joined today from Fitch-Rona EMS, your EMS director, Patrick Anderson. Patrick, welcome back to TF. How you doing, sir?
Good, Jeremy. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful.
Are you officially communications manager, Jeremy Crosby yet, or is that?
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. I'm just a guy who does
Got it.
some communication work, but
Got it.
still here to help out in different ways. What we
Perfect.
are here to talk about is fireworks safety, which when I say that term, it just sounds wrong altogether. Fireworks and safety don't seem to go hand in hand, but nevertheless, 'tis the season, and today we're going to focus on firework injuries. And while I don't want to put, a damper on 4th of July, as we've done through our interviews here with fire and PD, we're really talking about keeping everybody safe. And, there's ways of doing that in various ways, but we want to remind you when you don't play it safe, this is the outcome. You get to visit with friends from Patrick Anderson's office in an ambulance.
It's all right. It's all fun and games until what, right? Somebody loses a finger.
Well, I was thinking until Fitch-Rona shows up, but but that's a different thing. So let's just start overall. When I look at it, the number one injury to me is sparklers. It's what we hear about each and every year, and it's because they get so hot. But they're supposed to be the safest firework ever. Of course,
Right.
that's Jeremy saying that, but
Yeah, which I imagine the fire chief mentioned to you. But interesting thing I had read this morning is it comes from the American College of Pediatrics is the injury range it tends to be 5 to 19, right? Every injury, right? That ranges of 5 to 19, but one of the things that proposed out there is what person in the world would give somebody who's 5 years old, can't walk, has horrible coordination, and give them something that's held a foot away from them that is 3,000 degrees.
yeah, and it's crazy, but again, I think we all have grown up with the mindset that is the safest firework, right? It doesn't do anything, Patrick.
We all think of it. I mean, I think of it as my childhood. How many that we wave it around and see what we can do, and but they're hot, they burn, and yeah, the number one cause of those 4th of July week injuries this time of year is burns.
And just overall, looking at some other statistics, child's ages 10 to 14 had the highest risk of injuries. So when we're really looking at kids and getting injured overall, 4th of July pretty much takes the cake in the spectrum of summer injuries.
Sure. And it makes common sense. People are out, they're vacationing, lots of stuff going on, lots of parties. As we talk about all of the things that happen over the course of the summer, injuries as a whole, right? It's you're not in a controlled environment of that school environment anymore. So it just lends itself to being more accident prone. The weather's nice, right? We're not stuck indoors. But yeah, when we get into the burns because of the nature of what we do here and celebrating our independence.
Yeah, and maybe that would be the next place to take this. I'm jumping a little all over, but steering course here. Burns overall, you can't tell as just I think until you get to the doctor's office just how bad burns are. So the level of burns, what would you say for somebody who gets a burn and trying to figure out, is this, how bad is it? I mean, obviously if you get burned in a good chunk of your body, you should be calling 911. And if you have any questions, call 911 as well. But take burns serious is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's been a recurring theme every time we meet of, if you have a question, give us a call. Right? We're going to come here. If you don't need to be transported, we'll take a look at it. We'll help you out. You can drive yourself, or we can look at it. This is nothing, or yeah, it probably needs to be looked at. Call the professionals. Right? That's what we do. The biggest thing about burn management is, for anybody, and we teach even our EMS providers that when there is a burn, the first one is to stop the burning process. Right? it kind of makes common sense, but whatever is causing that burn, this time of year it's going to be called the thermal burns, right? It's something that is hot. It is the fire. It's cooking over a fire, somebody falling into a campfire, or our topic here of fireworks. So stop that burning process, and that is easy enough of water. Providing that is some sort of thermal burn. We're not going to venture into grease fires and all the things with water is just going to make that all sorts of worse. But for our fireworks, here, stop that burning process, right? Cover it up, douse it with water. Once that fire is out, now we treat it. you mentioned all the different levels of burns, right? We've changed the name. There's a first degree, second degree, superficial. The names change all of the time. Um, Things we look at, right, is one is the management of those burns. First thing we're going to do is, as I mentioned, right, stop the burning process. That is putting water on it. You know, it's called the, you know, the classical tale of putting butter on it. No, right? Not even going to bring them up, not give you any other idea. Water, right? Put this room temperature, not hot water, not warm water. We actually even recommend, or the burn Academy, right, the National Association of Burn Physicians, not even put water, I'm sorry, ice on it, or cold water. Though we all know it feels much better, right, having some ice or some ice cold water on there. It actually causes a little bit more damage. It constricts all those vessels that are trying to heal. So just a cool water, warm water, run it. We call it copious amounts of water, right, until it feels better. Big burns that we're worried about, as you had talked about, large surface areas, and there's no magic number in there, but lots of them. Anything on the face, anything on the hands, anything over a joint, right? So your elbows and knees, all of those, depending on the size of that burn, when they heal, if they don't heal appropriately, they create scar tissue. And especially when we talk about our kids or our pediatric population who's going to grow, that can actually create some really long-term disability issues over in those elbows, knees, fingers, anywhere in that face should absolutely get looked at.
Absolutely, and according to the NFPA, that's the National Fire Protection Association, you know, why we talk about this is 44%, or that's 9,100 injuries are treated in emergency rooms just around burns, just around 4th of July. But we're talking about a large number here when we're really talking about burns as being it. Let's go to the groom and really talking about if you happen to lose a limb, a finger, a hand, an arm, a leg, you know, that's the power, the capacity of fireworks. You just don't know, and those injuries are going to be significant by nature, but that's kind of what we're dealing with.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah. Number one is burns, right? Number two is blasts, right? Blast injuries. There's, right, it's gunpowder is really what it is, right? So that's and it seems very common sense to like, right, don't hold on to things, don't relight things, you know. Things that, like one of the other things that are out there about fireworks safety is, you know, who's ever running your fireworks, make sure that there's no alcohol involved. We all know that's going to happen on the 4th of July weekend, right? But being responsible, whoever is managing flames and mortars and explosive things. So that goes back to our really basic first aid, right? If there's some sort of bleeding, if you lose a limb, the first thing is going to be control the bleeding. Right? Most of the time, it's just going to be direct pressure on there. Grab a towel, grab something clean, as clean as possible. Put it right on there. Hold that pressure until the bleeding stops. You know, lately we talk about tourniquets. If you really can't control that bleeding with holding that direct pressure, put a tourniquet on there. Get that to stop. As far as extremities go and reattaching of them, based on the if salvageability is a word, right? Most of the time, those explosives have pretty much just done in whatever that extremity is. If there's something of that extremity left, absolutely just put it on, not directly on ice again, right? In something cool, wrap it up in a towel, something clean, bring it with that patient to the hospital. But the biggest thing with those is control that bleeding.
Absolutely. And on this this safety note I'm looking at, it says it's important to know that fireworks are not safe in the hands of consumers. And you can take that for what it's worth, but across the board, you know, you really want to leave it to the professionals, and you know, just take it safe. Knowing that these things do happen each and every year, we're aware of that, and our goal here is safety and awareness. So that's all part of this.
Absolutely. I also love the plug out there. You know, one of the things we've been promoting, that's been promoted over the last 15 years here, is not everybody likes fireworks. You know, there's some mental capacity, or people with PTSD who've been in environments, loud exploding shells. I know I have a dog who every time he hears fireworks, right, he is under the bed. So common courtesy as well, right? People with pets don't necessarily like fireworks, and people themselves not necessarily liking fireworks. So be kind to your neighbor.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a really good point. It affects a lot of people in different ways, and while it can be the most enjoyable thing for some, it could be very difficult for others. So keeping it
Yeah.
in check there. All right, Patrick, appreciate the time, and of course, if you're ever questioning emergency, just call 911. It's just safer that way, and let the professionals deal, i.e., Patrick Anderson staff.
All right, I'm gonna send a highly trained crew of people out to give you a hand.
Absolutely. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks for having me.